Great little beach right there on that little tiny little island. It's the same on the other side. I think I've been there once many years ago, kind of illegally. Anyway, it's about 10 o'clock. We're just leaving that something thought inlet, and I have to still deal with the anchor. There's a bit of a current coming through there, so I had to pull the anchor and just kind of run, because by that time, once the anchor's off the bottom, of course you're moving freely with the current, which is pretty strong in there. So I'm just gonna have to wait till these boats are gone by me and then just stop the boat drift while I sort out the anchor on the front deck and the foresails. Not seeing any kind of a wind. It's supposed to be 6-8 knots from behind me, but we've been disappointed before with wind forecasts. That's looking up straight. I gotta hit that beach at some point. Everything below the high tide level is public property. You can actually land on it. Though one does feel bad when there's a cottage right above with people looking at you out the window. You feel like you're trespassing. Okay, more later. Couple of pretty little islands there. I don't think they're inhabited. Be a nice little place to live on. Your little kingdom. That's Salt Spring on the right. We're just coming up to Ruckle Park, is just straight ahead there. I've camped there a few times. Trying to imagine me 10-15 years ago sitting there looking out at the water, and then there's a time warp and here I come sailing my little boat right past. Ah, Mount Baker just peeking up behind the Penders, I believe, over there. And looking back, those two humps of Galiano. Prevost is right there on my left. These islands don't seem to have names on the chart I'm using here. Okay. So that's Ruckle Park, the campsite on the right coming up. And just approaching that, and this big ferry comes around the corner. I think it's one of the newer ones. The electric ones. He's awful close to land. I guess he's going, well, there's Fulford Harbour. Oh no, it's the other one. Long something. The ferry terminal on the east side of Salt Spring Island. Long Harbour. There we come to already. The old brain still functions just slowly. Has to churn through all kinds of stuff. All the garbage that's built up over the last 67 years. I never get to see my jib usually because the staysail's always in the way. That's what she looks like when she's sailing. Nice to know. That's Ruckle Park on the right there with the campsites along the water's edge. Right ahead of us is that's Moresby Island over there. It'll come to me. Anyway, bit of a breeze here. Shall I put up the sails and do some sailing? Yeah, I think it's just the breeze I'm making from moving along. But nice to see the jib doing its thing. Ferry coming up behind me. Yeah, a little patch of wind here right on the corner. I think it ends just up there. Yeah, hello jib. So I was heading just straight behind where I'm heading right now. but I can see this ferry coming in. I know he's going to make a turn this way. I would have been somewhere in his way. And even though I had the right of way, as I'm the starboard vessel, it's just best when something's that big going that fast, just stay out of his way. So I've just pulled over here. We're just stalled in the water right off the campsite. Just going to wait for him to get by before I continue my journey around. Portland Island's the one I was trying to think of. Another marine park where you can anchor. Yeah, famous last words, but I had the right of way. Yeah, well, there's all kinds of other factors in play. That's a big vessel, hard for him to maneuver among small islands, takes him a long time to make a turn. I'm quick and nimble and slow, so the best thing to do is just get out of the way. Let him get past. Make his day easier too. He doesn't need to be worrying about some little dinky sailboat in his way. He's got a schedule to keep. I'm always the vessel giving way, even though I've got the right of way. It just seems to be the way it is. Queen of Westminster, the same one we saw, was it only yesterday? The day before, I guess, coming out of Active Pass. Okay, I can resume speed now. I'm not going to catch him. So that's the way of the water. That's my way of the water. Anyway, be courteous, be polite. If it costs you nothing, give way to the other guy anyway, just to be safe. Get to ride his wake as well. That should be fun. Maybe I'll put the sails up after that. I'll just get through his wake before I head back on course around the east side of Portland Island. Yeah, I would have been right about there, right about now, if I hadn't backpedaled a bit. At least with a big ship like that, the wake is long. It might be 2 or 3 feet, but they're long waves. So they're not really smashing into you. It's a gentle ride. That clicking noise is my starboard aft porthole clanging against the side of the boat. Alright, we can resume our speed and resume our course. Well, I'm doing 6 knots somehow. I do have her engine running at 75%, 2700 revs. There's a bit of assist from my lovely jib there. but there's no, we're at the peak of a very small tide, so I don't think that's doing anything. We're actually doing just 6 knots based on engine and a little bit of sail assist. Pretty much hull speed for a vessel of this size. It's the root of the waterline plus some factor. So my waterline being about 21 feet, that's 4 knots would be 16 feet, 5 knots would be 25 feet, somewhere between that. 4.5 knots plus some factor, 1 or 2 gives us 6. And that's what we're doing right now. I'm just stopped here, dropping the sails and preparing to dock, and a whole flock of jellyfish just came by. I wonder what they call a group of jellyfish. It's a murder of crows. What do they call owls? A judgment of owls, or a parliament of owls. A host of golden daffodils. And there they go. I don't know what kind of a life jellyfish have. They barely have a nervous system, let alone brains. Funny how these are all together. I wonder if they enjoy each other's company. No, I don't. I'm pretty sure. Well, I'm not sure of anything. Who knows? Anyway, thanks for stopping by, guys. So another tips and tricks. I have an extra unused sail bag there, and when I'm tied up at the dock, I keep my jib line and my staysail sheets, I should say, my jib sheet and my staysail sheet in that bag. The other lines here are my dock lines, the line I use to pull the bow around as I'm entering, and my fenders. So when I leave the dock, the fenders and all the mooring lines go in that bag, and the stuff I need, the sheets for the jib and the staysail, come out. So there's just no need to have any kind of extra ropes hanging around on the deck while you're sailing. I don't need 4 mooring lines getting tangled up with my sheets and potentially going over the side and tangling up in the prop. I don't need 3 fenders sitting on the deck bouncing around, getting in the way of the sheets or halyards either. So all that stuff, if it's not in use, it goes in the bag in the hatch there. So there's a difference between what I need when I'm tied up and what I need when I'm actually moving along. And I don't think I ever showed off the 2 brass pieces I put in my hatch there. And there they are, and that's how they work. You pull that to where you want it, tighten up these, and it holds. It looks pretty good too. Rather proud of that. Alright, beautiful here as always. Looking north to North Shore Mountains. We're still in the bay here of Portland Island. And back to Coal Island there, and my marina's right over that way, but I'd rather go around Coal Island this way, I think. And the boat's moored at Portland, between the little island off the southern tip and the Portland Island itself. There's a nice little sheltered spot there. I need to go back there. Alright.